All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of After the Close. Happy expiration. We're in October. And with me this month in a very monthly appropriate background, we have Miss Allison Harris. Allie, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for being here this month. You are one of our biggest Instagram followers, one of our loyal Instagram followers. So I always appreciate having people on who really follow along with what's going on here. Why,
Yeah,
why don't you tell everybody about yourself? Introduce yourself a little bit.
sure. So my name is Allison Harris, and I live in Jersey City. I am Michael's sister-in-law, so I'm married to his wife's brother. I lived in Jersey City for about 10 years. Before that, I lived in Astoria, Queens, and grew up in Queens. I went to school at University of Massachusetts, so I spent a couple years
Was that
in
UMass Amherst?
Yes, UMass Amherst.
Mm,
Yes. So I spent a
okay.
couple years out in Western Massachusetts. Love the area, and currently I work for Yankee Candle. So there's a little bit of a Western Mass connection in my day job, and yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Great. No, I appreciate having you. I was really excited to get, I always like having people on who follow the feed, and I've been looking to get like a woman's perspective on things for a while because I was getting a little bit like white male vibes,
Yeah.
which is not intentional. It's just, hey, that's who my friends are.
Mhm.
Yeah. But do you work at Yank Candle? What do you do there?
So I work in email marketing, so email and text message marketing. So like any email or text message that you would receive from your candle, I have a hand in. So
Hmm.
it's really interesting. Candles is kind of one of those niche things where I came from publishing, so I didn't really know much about like consumer goods, but I've learned so much since I've been there. And like now my house, now like my house is surrounded. Now I'm surrounded by Yankee candles everywhere, so my house always smells good.
That's great. Can't,
Yeah,
there are worse things in life. It's
yeah, right.
fun to see how people behave, not behave, but just how other people's jobs are when, because you are neither a trader nor a dad.
I'm not. I'm a mom though.
You are a mom. That is true. So parenting, there's that. But I always find it interesting to see how others view the world, their job, how things operate when they are not so entrenched in financial services and the tropes and the mechanics and axioms of that. So, by contrast, I could get a guy on here who's more or less my clone education wise. You know, get a finance major on here who knows discounted cash flow models. I can tell you exactly how their attitude is on
Yep.
four to five things. But we find it. Do you say you majored in journalism at
Yeah,
UMass Amherst?
yeah, journalism and political science. So it's completely. I never took an economics class in my life.
Well,
So
that
I
doesn't
was,
stop politicians, I'll tell you.
yeah, exactly. The one interesting class that I did take there though was like healthcare policy.
Okay.
So like, um, so that is like some kind of it's linked to economics in many ways. But yeah, I don't know anything about a lot of the stuff you post, but it's cool. Like,
I
all
don't know what you're saying, but
all
it
the
looks
stuff.
cool.
Yeah, yeah, it looks cool.
I
I
appreciate
wish
that.
I knew more. I wish I had some kind of knowledge in that area, but I'm definitely coming to it in a um, you're doing something that you love and getting a lot of followers. And in another life, I had like a blog and all of that, and tried to get a lot of traction with writing music articles. So I
Did you
see,
did you
yeah,
once have a blog?
I did. I had a couple different websites. Coming out of college, I had one with one of my friends who I worked with. I interned at a music label. So her
Oh,
and I would
okay.
write articles about different bands we were interested in and like album reviews and stuff like that. And it's just like really hard to balance doing that with having a full-time job and now having a child. So
Oh, I get
um,
it.
yeah, it kind of went to the wayside, but it's really, if you have the time to do it, a really cool experience.
It a lot of that stuff, time management is the biggest skill set I think that's underspoken about regarding raising
Absolutely.
kids,
Yep.
because it is so important to carve out time for yourself, carve out time for you and your spouse, carve
Mhm.
out time for your kids, carve out time for like you. Time management can be the make or break factor. I agree.
It totally is. Yeah, just one. I mean, we have one kid versus your three kids and a dog, and
It's three kids and a dog, right?
yeah, it's so four kids basically.
I mean, you know what? Trader Dog Gus is hanging out with me right here, right now.
Yeah.
He is he does get the shit end of the stick sometimes. He's definitely fourth on the priority list, unfortunately,
Yeah.
but he's also, he does make the priority list. He's
That's
fourth.
fine.
He's just that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would highly recommend trying to find 1 hour a week to like
Mhm.
do it.
Yeah, I
It's
would love to be able to do that. Like I stopped doing it and then I started it up again probably 10 years ago or so.
Mhm.
Then things just really got in the way.
That's
And
what
I
happens.
feel, yeah, and I feel like had I been really committed to it, things would have not gotten in the way. But maybe one day, maybe when I have a little more time.
People always say that, and I believe
Yeah,
me, it's about prioritization.
yeah,
Exercise is in the same vein. So exercise
right.
is my Achilles heel.
Yeah,
Like I really need to find a manner to work it in, like into my routine.
right.
Yeah,
It's very difficult.
it is difficult. Followers of the show will know that I recently had a procedure done, and let's just say we won't be any more dadding any kids
Mm,
anytime soon. And me being me, I took the laughing gas, and so I ended up having a grand old conversation with my urologist while the procedure was being done.
uh-huh.
And he invited me to join his weekly exercise group of like
Okay.
men in like their
Yeah,
30s and 40s. And I basically took him up on the offer under the laughing gas.
yeah.
So I like locked myself in, and now I'm gonna start doing this whole new exercise regimen once a week with a bunch of like middle-aged men.
I feel like that's like a Seinfeld episode. You
It
agree to
definitely could be
under
a
laughing
Seinfeld episode.
gas? Yeah.
Seinfeld is one of the good underlying themes of some of the Substacks we do.
Oh, is it?
It is.
Nice.
I not so much. The Simpsons, the Seinfeld, The Simpsons, Seinfeld, a lot of 90s Sandler. We get a lot of that going in the Substack
Yeah.
space. So it's just what people like. It's I give the people what they want.
Yeah, that's definitely what people want.
You sound like my wife when we're uh so you used to do the blog,
Hmm.
but you stopped.
Hmm.
What else have you been doing though? In terms of what do you do a lot of do you have other crafts that you get to I don't I was gonna say exploit, but really I was gonna say explore.
Yeah, and not so much like that much recently. It sounds kind of weird, but I'm really into like organization as like a lifestyle kind of thing. Like
Okay.
having
Like you're a big fan of IKEA?
yeah, like have like figuring out the best like organization for a certain thing. Like, okay, so our pantry has all these like little baskets, and
Hmm.
like which things go into which baskets as kind of a way to stay organized and stay like neat. Because I'm not really that neat of a person, but I think everything should have a place. So like you
Okay.
know what it is. If that I know it's kind of it's like super lame, but
No, it's
that's all
not.
I feel like I have time for, and it gives me a lot of joy.
That's what matters. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm a nerd doing a podcast. I get it.
yeah,
I'm finding as I've evolved into the suburban dad life, I have more or less tricked myself into saying things which are really chores and need to get
Yeah.
done are actually hobbies that I enjoy
Okay.
doing.
Yeah. Like what?
So cleaning out the garage,
Mhm.
organizing the garage is a big one. I am slowly but surely becoming like a sitcom dad who cares about the Christmas competition every year for lights and things like
Okay.
that. I have an actual like drawn out version of my own home with like
Oh.
it's like when Kevin McAllister pulls out Operation Ho 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 in Home
Yeah.
Alone, and it's like that. I have like arrows with notes about what I'm gonna
Okay.
do for the next year. And
Yeah.
every year I've decided because we have the intention of being here for 15, 20 more
Yeah.
years,
Right.
right? So with that timeline in mind, I every year I'm gonna like build a little bit
Mhm.
bigger, and it'll slowly grow and it'll become a thing. So
Mhm.
and I told myself that this will be a fun hobby. When in reality, it's a giant pain in the ass chore.
Yeah. Because then you have to take it down.
Exactly, exactly. And I have to take
There's
it down according to the HOA specifications. And
Yes, of course. There's someone in our neighborhood that has had Christmas decorations up all year.
good for them. But
Yeah.
there's no one to stop them, right?
No, no, there's no rules. So they've had Santa in lights on the roof up this entire time. And now it's coming to the season. So, it's appropriate.
It's great. They held their breath long enough, and now it's paid off. They don't have to put them
Yeah,
up
because
again.
once you have it, you still have it up by June, you might as well keep it up.
That's right. We can't do that where we are. We're in a very cliche homeowner development where they'll have rules. You have a time span. Like I think it's like January 10th or something. Like all
Right?
Christmas lights have to be down, or they'll start fining you. And it's like they're serious about it.
That's crazy. People
It
have too much time on their hands, I guess. Because people have to go around and look and they'd be like, oh, you still have your decorations up.
oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
The people will go around. I mean, it's the narcs you got to worry about though.
exactly. Yeah,
Those like it's one thing for the president of the HOA to take a 10-minute drive through the entire development and jot down numbers. It's quite another when the guy next door decides to
right.
narc on you. That's something you don't want to deal with. Have you you live in the city, you live in Jersey City specifically, and you live in your own home in
Correct.
that you're not like say in an apartment in Jersey
No,
City.
no, we have a house. It's like one of those old style four floors, very skinny houses.
Sure, right.
So yeah,
Like a walk up kind of.
it's a walk up. So we've been there. Bought it in 2016.
Got it. Got it. Got it. You 2016, a lot of things have popped since then. So
Yes,
that's like
yes.
that was a good investment, I'm sure.
It was. I mean, yeah, it was a good investment. We paid very low for it. But I mean,
Great.
we did a lot of renovations, so we put a lot of money into
Mhm.
it. But yeah, we're hoping it will pay off eventually.
That's great. We see a lot of opportunities out there in things like fixer uppers. Like we're in the vein of on Sunday morning sitting drinking our coffee in our pajamas watching HGTV
Uh-huh.
to get that
Yep.
fixer upper for low money, and then we'll just spend the next 4 months of our lives every weekend fixing it up.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I would definitely next house definitely is going to be a move-in ready
Oh yeah.
situation. Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause what I was gonna say is that it sounds good on paper. It's like, wouldn't it be
Yeah, it's
wonderful if we decided to do that and then turn a
um
nice profit on like flipping a house? But
yeah,
the reality of the situation is that it's a real grind to get that
it's a
stuff done and actually be successful at it without there being a leakage or flaw or
oh, so
miscalculation.
many the sound that haunts my dreams is leaking water.
Ooh.
Like I just if I hear it, I have to go find it, and it's always a problem. Like it's just, God, it's horrible.
I am the same way. Whenever there's a big rainstorm in the area, so we just figured we were in the Carolinas during Hurricane Helene,
Mhm.
and we did not have a problem. We did not lose power. We did not suffer a leak. Our development was pretty unscathed, unlike to the west of us in like the Asheville area, which they got really, really, really torn up. It was
Mm,
bad. And even outside, even in dots of the Charlotte area, because of falling trees, had problems. We ended up okay. And a big reason for that is that I really thought about it ahead of time before we came here and said, is everything underground? Like,
Yep,
are we near a stream or something like that that's going to
that's
overflow?
smart.
So we've made out quite well. It can get you though. I
Yeah,
always walk around and check the house whenever it's raining hard to make sure there's nothing
uh-huh.
coming. Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
very, very particular about that.
we have a s- we have two sub pumps installed, so we
Mhm.
don't flood really ever. But there was a time when we were where us our sub basin was flooding, and what it does is when it floods, the water heater goes out.
Oh, okay.
So then we would that was always an issue. It never like broke. It just knock on wood. Um, the flame would just go out. So I like became obsessive about every time it rains going down there and checking to make sure the green light is on.
Hmm.
And like that being like the source of anxiety of like if it's not on, we have to do this, this, that, and the other thing. And seeing it just being like, everything's okay.
I get it. It's a green means good.
Yep, green means good, exactly.
Have you ever done something with the house that you've regretted? Have you done like any of the remodels or stuff where you're like, oh God, this is even worse than it is?
You know what? It was so bad to begin with that everything we did, even if it wasn't ideal, has been better. Like, so the house was two rooms were painted yellow, one room was painted one the kitchen was painted red, like brick red.
Okay.
And like there was one room that was like teal. Like
You wonder when you do a walkthrough of homes like that, you wonder like what was the mentality of people who end
right.
up in something so radically terrible looking?
Right, exactly. So we did a lot of paint. Well, my husband Chris did a lot of painting, and now it's better. But like, it was just so bad before that everything is better. So nothing has been a regret at all.
I see. I see. I see. I recently did my kitchen cabinets. This is riveting podcasting. This is just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
HGTV
Always listening,
podcasting.
right?
That's okay. I did my whole kitchen while I was out of work, which is a known fact here. I did it. So we're talking about about 14 months ago now. I got it all done.
Mhm.
Did the cabinets from a dark cherry to like a full white, like a pure white with black handles, totally different look and feel. I did the walls a totally from like a darkish green. It had a real country vibe originally, and now it has a much more like clean and sanitized
Yeah.
vibe from with white and light blue. I spent, I don't know, a good 3 weeks getting all of that done.
Mhm.
6 months after I had finished it, my wife looks at me and she goes, I know you're gonna hate me, but I think I want to redo the kitchen. And I was like, you're right, I am very mad, and I walked away. Uh, but it's funny how like she made the decision about what she likes, and she likes it now, but I think she has the ambition of maybe like a longer term like
Right.
material change. Like we're gonna like change the orientation of everything.
Uh-huh.
You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? Like that's more of what I think she was driving at. But I understand how much of a commitment it is once you decide what you're gonna have. That's like this is what you're stuck with. I
Yeah,
get it.
we redid our kitchen maybe like 3 years ago. Because the way our house was situated is you walked in and there was the kitchen. And then you walked back further and there was the living room. And it's actually supposed to be switched. So the people
Oh,
before switched them because they illegally converted our house into a two family. So there were actually two kitchens at one point.
okay.
Crazy.
Yeah, no, I get it. I understand. I know the area, so I understand
Right.
what people do.
So
I'm not surprised.
yeah, so we moved the kitchen to the back, and it was honestly the best thing we ever did
Mm,
because I was able to pick out like the where all the cabinets were.
right.
Like we basically went from having like three cabinets to having like a whole wall of cabinets, and
Hmm.
we have this little drawer that holds like spices.
A
next to
spice
the
drawer.
oven, which is like the
Ooh.
most fantastic thing in the world. I highly recommend anyone redoing a kitchen to get one. So now it's great. I mean, it was a long thing. We didn't have a kitchen for, like 2 weeks or whatever. But I highly
I
recommend redoing your kitchen because it's great.
if people haven't figured this out already, this podcast is definitely like 10% middle class fancy. Like
Yeah, no, it
definitely
is.
it definitely covers in that vein, middle class fancy. So you tell me that you had your own little spice drawer. I was like, ooh.
Yeah, right. It's great.
We the house that I'm in, the thing that sold us on the house was that it had a little wine fridge
Oh,
like underneath in the bottom cabinet, like almost like where you'd see it. Like there was the dishwasher, and then two cabinets over there was the wine fridge. This place is a wine fridge. Oh my gosh, we
yeah.
are so fancy.
Mhm.
So that was definitely something that got us. So I understand. I know that the little touches are what makes it breaks it.
Mhm.
Mhm. And are you? I think people with this is it's October, it's Halloween season, but and I know firsthand the room you're in, that is not a Zoom wallpaper. That is your actual room you're in right now, right?
That's it. This is our record room. If you see there are
Mm.
our record shelves that were built by one of our friends, and it's filled to the brim with records. And this room kind of is our like hangout room. It has been overrun with Zelda's toys. So we
Oh,
have,
you get the
I don't know if you can see, there's like a playpen.
that. Oh wow, look at that. That's quite the
Yeah,
mixture.
yeah.
Does
So
Zelda play darts?
she does not yet, but she
No.
will.
No, you know, she's got time.
Yep.
But I like the aesthetic for the month, and I also really appreciate the idea that what was clearly a labor of love to create a very defined space immediately got encroached by the playpen and the toys and all that. It's like, now you're watching what you probably used to watch, something so adult or horror or or
Mhm.
foreign films or an action comedy or something like
Right.
you used to watch that in that room, and now it's what, Bluey?
No, it's Elmo.
Elmo. Okay.
Elmo
Yeah.
24/7. That's it.
Elmo is the way forward.
Yes.
I get it. I get it. We had our Elmo phase. We were big on what were we big on? So I don't have a 2-year-old right now. I'm kind of that's like my gap phase at the moment. I have a 4-year-old and a 6-month-old. My 2-year-olds, so, were we an Elmo? We were briefly. We definitely had an Elmo phase. But when I had a 2-year-old, I think we went quickly into Sesame Street. We veered
Yeah, no,
Sesame.
Sesame Street is what she watches, but she calls it Elmo.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it wasn't so much Elmo specifically, it was Sesame Street generally. She was more
Yeah.
interested in the other characters, Big Bird, Bert, and Ernie,
Oh,
all of them together.
really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Zelda's just interested in Elmo. She
Oh.
knows the other characters though. We reached a parenting milestone of having watched every episode of Sesame Street on HBO through the most recent, and now we're starting all over again.
Oh, okay. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Some of the do you watch Sesame Street?
Oh yeah,
Like, do
yeah,
you sit and watch so let me ask you a question. Did you watch it when you were yourself as a child?
I did. Yes,
Okay. And but
I
you
don't
also were
remember.
watching the new episodes now.
Yes,
Because they are hanging in there, I think.
they
In
are. Yeah, they
they
definitely are.
I feel like they're able to adapt to what the realistic world is
Mhm.
more than many politicians, primetime shows, etc.
Mhm. I agree.
They
There was
understand what demographics are watching them, and they do handle stuff that those demographics need to be. I mean, I know they have like they've done episodes about your parents in prison. They've done
yeah,
rough ones like that. They've done things
yeah.
like
They introduced a autistic girl.
they have the autistic girl now, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting the way that they talk about different issues. So I personally, if she has to watch any show, she basically watches that and Miss Rachel. That's it.
We dodged Miss Rachel. Miss
Okay,
Rachel,
what
like Miss Rachel was coming in hot, and we managed to kind of like
Yeah,
sidestep her. Yeah, we
you're
don't have
very
anyone watching
lucky.
Miss Rachel.
Although I feel as if Miss Rachel has taught her a lot, but it is very annoying.
Mm.
Like it's a lot of the same skits over and over again, the same songs, that kind of thing.
I don't
Um,
like Blippi. I think Blippi is stupid.
yeah, we haven't watched Blippi. We
Yeah.
just watched those two things, and I think there's a lot of variety in Sesame Street. Lots of different characters, lots of different bits. They have claymation, they have like computer animation, they have like regular animation, like dancing, singing, all that stuff.
So
So she
I
learns a lot from it, I think.
I'll bring this back around to the trading side. And so when I was in on the JP Morgan trading floor, I was, kind of a mid-tier person. I was like experienced, but I wasn't like, a big manager yet. And they had the individual or the first year, second year analyst on the floor. And so I would like give them notice and stuff. And at that point, I was starting to get to a point in my career where I kind of be like a dick. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
kind of just like say stuff and be like, I can get away with this. I had my 2, 3-year-old at the time who watched Sesame Street. And so when one of these analysts or associates would ask me a question about stuff, I'd really deliberately be condescending just to be fun.
Yeah,
And I would tell them, I'd be like, my 3-year-old watches this show where Cookie Monster helps to defend against an evil villain. And
yeah,
the moral is always that they have to stop
yep.
and think it
I know
through.
exactly what you're talking about. The crumb.
The crumb
Yep.
would come to try to steal the cookies,
Yep.
and they were like space cadets, and they would have to, and that was the moral. You have to stop and
Mhm.
and think it through.
Yeah,
So I would always like to be like kind of a jackass towards the analyst at JP Morgan and
yeah,
be like, my 3-year-old has learned this skill from
yeah.
Sesame Street. You have to stop and think it through
In the most recent episodes, they started a new thing where it's I wonder what if let's try, and it's a way of solving problems,
through
which I
like
think
trial and error.
yeah. So like I wonder what we can do to solve this problem. What if here's an idea?
Oh,
Let's
okay.
try. Let's do it. So I think I'm going to start incorporating that into my workplace, like meeting persona.
You'd be surprised how great some elementary. I mean, you don't want to be like an asshole like I was.
No, no, yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's,
say like, oh, I wonder, and
mhm.
then kind of frame it in that way and see if it helps like move projects along and all of that.
Some of it is smart. When I say some of it, I mean children's programming. Good children's programming often emphasizes first principle reasoning,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is something good that you can carry. You can carry that through as an adult, where you are
Yeah.
like breaking down problems and thinking about like elemental objects of it. That is
Mm-hmm.
good, like adult knowledge or
Mm-hmm.
things you can take with you on things. When you're at a Yankee Candle, are you doing remote work
Yes,
primarily? Yeah.
I am actually going into the office tomorrow.
Hmm.
I typically do remote work,
Oh,
so
okay. Okay.
yeah. My
Yeah.
office is based out of Hoboken, so it's very easy for me to get there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it's very reasonable. That's not too bad. The remote work, big proponent of it here, but I
Yeah,
will say one of the detriments is you don't get that chit chatty kind of like I can't make like silly jokes and kind of be clearly over the top dickish to people.
yeah.
On Zoom calls, it doesn't play off as well. I had to learn
No,
you can't, it's one thing if I'm razzing a 25-year-old guy
yeah,
in person. It's like I can't do that with like, a
yeah.
47-year-old
I,
doing
I,
whatever.
I, I think the like people's ability to be sarcastic is also often gets lost on Zoom calls and
Mhm.
like being able to show your personality. Um, I also find the whole thing when you're in a meeting and um, one person is talking and then it's this like awkward thing. You have to be like, no, you go, no, you go. Like in person, that wouldn't happen.
You lose the body cues
You
and things.
do, you
Yes,
do.
the body language. That's definitely a downside of it.
But there are a lot of upsides.
Oh, the upsides. Yeah, I mean, you just go back and look at the catalog here, and I'll tell you all the upsides. I don't regret it for a moment. but I do appreciate that there are downsides you have to be on the lookout for, or at least correct for, I guess would be maybe a way of
Yeah.
saying it. Like if I make a joke on a Zoom call, I got to be very sure what I'm saying and who I'm saying it
Right.
to. Well, we got trade dog Gus got to go out. All right, there you go. Goodbye, Gus. Yes, I agree. I am trying to figure out better ways to be like a bit of a manager when it
Mhm.
comes to over Zoom because I'm actually like coordinating and managing people in my new role, which is something I hadn't done in the past. Um, I do believe that learning to be effective for emotion, communicating, projecting vibes through Zoom on video calls is actually very important. I actually got my job now because I was able to do that, I believe. I had to
Mhm.
do all of my interviewing through uh I did all of the interviews online through Zoom. Some of them were recordings, which were particularly difficult. I had never done that before. It was, I sat here like I am now, and the camera was on me recording,
Mhm.
and they just posted questions like in text, like almost like I was on a game show. And
Mhm.
then they had like the 60 seconds going. So to think of the
Oh,
game show is very apt because
yeah.
they just flashed a question for the interview, and you had 60 seconds to give your answer. And then when the 60 seconds were up, they just moved on to the next question. They just reset, gave you a new question, and you had to answer that. And if you like, you sneezed, or if you were just like,
Yeah.
or if you just swore, you got like flustered or something, you were SOL. That's just what they
Yeah.
submitted
Yeah.
to the HR. It was rough, some of that.
Stressful.
I don't recommend it unless you're well prepared for it because it can be a little hectic.
Mhm.
But I got the job now and we're done and it's good. And I choose remote work every time. The thing about remote work that I'm kind of coming along to in a new vein is sort of what a privilege it is.
Yeah, I think that's very important because I think that if you're a certain kind of person, you can take advantage of it easily.
Hmm.
But like, for me, I work very hard. Like I would never think of like going shopping during the workday and like pretending that I was at my desk. And you hear about
Right.
people that get those like mice that like move automatically every so often. Like I would never think of doing anything like that.
That is disingenuous for sure.
Yeah, there are people that definitely take advantage of it, and I kind of feel like because so many people do better in a remote environment, like myself,
Hmm.
it's kind of unfair in many ways.
My attitude on it has been I'm I'm realistic about what a knowledge work job is in the 21st century. And what I say is that there are 20 minutes at a time where you might not have anything to specifically do,
Mm-hmm.
right? For one reason or another. And so the productivity improvements aggregately are worth possibly a wage cut. That's sort of my argument for it, particularly when you have kids.
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking about Hurricane Helene earlier. Friday before the hurricane, schools got canceled here.
Okay.
And we discovered that information late Thursday night. So in a universe where we both have to go into an office, we have to really
Mhm.
like scramble to make plans for that. But in a
Yeah.
universe where and the end result may be one of us takes a sick day.
Yeah.
One of us might not work that day.
Mm-hmm.
But we have become so attuned and so acclimated to remote work that we just said, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and then we went about our day. And so we
Right.
were both still online at 9 o'clock. We were both still available for every single call. We were
Yep.
both still delivering every deliverable we were
Yep.
required of our jobs. The only difference is that periodically, like, oh, I don't have a call for another hour and a half. So for 15 minutes, I got up and I made like my kid lunch. And then like I got them set up with something or other,
Mhm.
and that's perfectly acceptable by my standards, by my definitions.
I agree. I think that it allows us to be more present with our children too
Mhm.
in those situations because you're able to step away and um yeah, make them lunch or, do what take a 10-minute break that if you were in the office, it might be like a coffee break to like take
Sure.
that
Or
break
smoke break
and
or just
do something with
staring
your
at the wall break.
yeah, exactly.
When we when I was in, well, I'll say this first. I do the other side of the coin is that I do appreciate that there are plenty of jobs that can't do that.
Of course.
Like if you're a nurse, you have to be in the place. I totally understand that. What I don't really grasp, and it's this weird thing about I think like market forces, there should just be a wage differential between the two.
Mm-hmm.
Like for all practical purposes, if a job can be done at home, it should maybe have a little bit of a discount in pay.
Yeah.
I do
Mm-hmm.
believe that because or you could argue that there should be a premium in pay to go into the office, however you want to frame it.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Like I do appreciate that there should be a differential that like, two people doing the exact same job where one has to go into the office 5 days a week and one stays home 5 days a week. The one who goes into the office 5 days a week should be paid more because there's more of an effort.
Mm-hmm.
Like be it commuting, be it the inability to like run upstairs and change out the laundry for 3.5 minutes,
Right.
be it, you know, can't get the kid off the bus for 12 minutes at 2 p.m., whatever the case may be, there is a significant productivity differential between the two. And so I do think that they could be offset by wages. Like, okay, you work from home, you do the job, you make, to use round numbers, 100 grand. You go to the office 3 days a week, you make 110,000, whatever it may be. There's some number which I think that makes it equalized.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's my take
Yeah.
on it. You almost look like you're going to disagree with me.
No, I don't. I think that if you can do your, I feel like it's if you can do your job at home, I don't think there should be a difference. I think that because I mean I still have to pay the same in taxes and housing and all of that that someone else does who goes into the office.
Well, if you and your colleague on the same team,
Hmm.
one of you goes into the office say 3 days a week, the other one's 5 days work from home. What happens there?
I don't know. I don't think that the workplace has figured it out yet.
No, I don't think so
Yeah,
either.
I think
I
that
agree with you.
it's like
But
an
I would argue that the person who works in the office should get paid a little bit more.
yeah, I mean, but are they choosing to be someone who goes to the office every day? Like me, I don't know.
Well, it depends. Is the requirements of the job, right?
Oh, okay. So
I'm
not
saying
like
like the job if
uh,
it says on the
I
like
see.
the job description, you have to be here 3 days a week.
I see. Okay. So it's
That
like
person is committing to a higher caliber
I see.
task. So I
Yeah,
think they should get more
probably.
money.
Maybe it's more important. Maybe it's like a software thing as opposed to me that just like updates.
Yeah, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
They just say, we need you here. There's more valuable for being here. I am
Yeah.
more valuable then, so I should get paid more.
Yeah. I think that yeah,
That's
sure.
sort of what my take on the whole thing is, which is why like I work from home 5 days a week and I know I'm getting paid a little less than I probably otherwise could.
Yeah.
But
But
I'll take it all day long because I
yeah,
get to do all the other stuff.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's definitely something for me.
Hmm.
We are a real good reason why that's important is because like trick-or-treating is going to come up
Hmm.
and we are gathering our costumes and we're going to get ready to go out and we're doing that whole jam. We're definitely looking forward to it. We're big on the costumes. Do you do
Okay.
costumes?
What are you guys being this year?
So we let our 8 year, well, I guess we let the second grader decide, and she decided to go. We're going to be the Descendants. Anyone who doesn't know, the Descendants is a Disney Channel movie series, which are catnip to first, second, and third grade girls. So we're all going to go as the Descendants family, which is the
Okay.
stars of that. So my second grader is going as the star of the movie, and we're going as her parents. So
That
we're going
sounds
to be
about
something. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it in the sense that we are becoming a dominating force in the HOA Halloween pageant.
oh.
We have some trophies now that we put up on the mantle every year, and I'll tell you, my wife comes to play. Like I don't really give a
Oh,
shit.
I'm
My wife
sure.
comes to play. She's like planning this shit out, and like 4th of July passes, and she's like, "All right, let's look to October."
Oh,
So we got our whole costumes all geared up to go. Maybe I'll throw a whole family costume on the Instagram feed when this is done, so everybody can see what we did. But we're looking forward to it. Halloween's a big deal in the subdivision.
Yeah.
Are you guys have you done trick or treating yet with the kid?
Haven't. No, we
No.
haven't. It's
Yeah,
not
it's still
really
a little
big
bit
in our
young.
neighborhood. Yeah, it's not big in our neighborhood either. It's
Mhm.
because we're in the city. People don't go around to strangers' houses.
Yeah, that's interesting how that happens
Yeah.
because here it is a big deal and people are very like, but we're also very like plus like we know the neighbors, we know the whole bit. We're all in the same HOA. They give like kind of like routine and rules to it. Like okay, it's like okay between 5 p.m. and 9 p.m. you can kind of like
Mhm.
knock on people's doors. So it's very like well regulated, I guess, which is
Yeah.
I'm finding it to be a pretty good situation.
Yeah, people go trick-or-treating at like the stores.
Oh,
Yeah,
like the
that's a big thing.
bodegas and such.
Yeah, bodegas, yeah, whatever, stores. But the big thing though is the school, her daycare does a Halloween parade. So going back to the conversation of working from home, because I work from home, I was able to go last year.
Oh, that's
Basically,
nice.
eat my lunch and go see her in the Halloween parade, which was amazing. She was a gremlin. She was Gizmo.
Oh,
So,
that's cute. I like
so,
that. That's a good
little
one.
outfit is so cute, and yeah, and just being able to go to things like that at the school and not have to take a day off is very valuable.
Are you a costume person?
No, not really.
No. No.
I'm not. I don't think I'm creative enough. Going back to like the Simpsons thing, my husband and I did do the best costume ever, which was I was Idaho and he was Florida.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know the.
Yeah,
It'll be in the episode mentions. I'll put it in there.
yeah, yeah. So that was a very long time ago, probably 8 years ago or so. That was a really good costume.
I was pleasantly surprised when discovered that people of my family would be interested in the costume thing.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Because like you could easily just be like, "Oh, that's lame. I don't want to do it anymore."
Yeah.
But everybody here really gets into the costume stuff. I've had a few over the years. I've never been afraid to get in front of the camera, as we say. Uh, Costumes were like the like not something I was ever really gonna do though until I got into it. So now every year we do the big costumes. Like we've done, what did we do? We did Goldilocks and Three Bears last year.
Okay.
So again, like my it's been the focal point of my like oldest kid. She was Goldilocks, you know. So she's gonna have a hard time giving up the crown next year once the other kids get a little bit older and we give them like a say.
Yeah.
So we're gonna see how that turns out. But we like I've said earlier, we come to play when we're gonna do it. We have our trophies, we have everything ready to go. And the whole neighborhood really does participate. So we're looking forward to Halloween this year. What are you thinking like now that you have the kid,
Hmm.
how different are the holidays for you?
Well, she's 20 months.
Okay.
So for Christmas last year, I'm trying to think. I have a very weird concept of time. Christmas 2 years ago, she was just born,
Hmm.
like this big, like tiny.
That big.
Christmas
Got it.
last year, she was kind of into it, but she tried to open her presents before it was time to open the presents.
Mm.
Um, we also took her to see Santa, and she
Hmm.
cried.
Oh, well, that's a good classic. We have the
Yeah,
crying face Santa picture.
red,
Like,
full
it's
red
just part of
face.
what we hang every year. It's like, oh, look, she was
Yeah.
crying and upset. We traumatized her. Let's hang it on the wall.
Yeah, basically, it's the cutest picture though. Her face is totally red, and she
Right.
just like has this look of like being so frightened. So
The Easter Bunny is often quite worse than Santa, in my
yeah, we didn't
experience.
do the Easter Bunny this year.
Oh, Easter Bunny is
She
rough.
doesn't really like characters. Like she doesn't really like. We took her to like a petting zoo, and she didn't really like the animals.
Hmm.
So we did do pumpkin picking this year.
Oh, that's fun.
And so that's like kind of a seasonal thing. And she was really into that. So I'm hoping this year we can do Santa again and,
It
get
will
her.
start to kick on hard. Like you're gonna start to really like rev up the engines and get into a lot of more of the kids stuff now. I like 20 months is just barely scratching the
Uh-huh.
surface of them being interested in it.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've been learning about now having like multiple kids at different age levels, I can see what the difference is between my child's personality versus just being that age.
Hmm.
So like all the things that I used to find to be a pain in the ass in my oldest, the middle one's now that age, and now I'm like, oh, this is what 4-year-olds are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The real depressing part is I got another one coming up, and I'm like,
Yep.
oh shit, I'm gonna have to deal with this again in 3.5 years. Like that's
Yeah.
now I know it's coming, and it's like, God damn it,
Yeah.
a ticking time bomb.
Maybe the boy will be different though.
I think the boy will be managed different, but exhibit some of the same.
Okay. Yeah.
I think the way to like finagle the boy to like get in line is going to be different than it was
Mhm.
with my girls. Like boys are much more militant. You can just kind of like tell like they just like stop, no, and then they'll just be like, okay. Like they don't need a why behind it.
Okay. Yeah. The girls definitely it's
Girls, it's more about like
a why like all the time.
this is a conversation and this is like an
Yeah.
understanding between us. Yes, yeah. Boys, you can kind of just be like, just go stand in the corner and they'll go. Because if so, I think the things they do, like the jumping on the furniture and the
Yeah.
irrational like interest in whatever TV show of the week it is, like all that stuff will still be around. They'll
Mhm.
just have to handle it differently.
She's jumping on the furniture. That's a big thing. Although the first opportunity we get, it's going right to gymnastics. She
Oh,
can
okay.
jump on stuff she wants there.
That's right. That's exactly right. Starting to get that energy out and finding the stuff that they're interested in for sure.
Mhm.
Did you have your daughter in anything that's structured like weekly routine aside from daycare? I'm not
Oh,
talking daycare specific. Does
no,
she?
we haven't done any of that.
Yeah, still young for that. Like I don't think
Well, no.
most stuff doesn't start till about 3 years old,
Mhm.
where you can actually get them involved with stuff. And at that point, it's more just like you're more doing it for yourself than the kid.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, they're just gonna roll with.
Yeah.
You'll be surprised how quickly though they form biases and preferences.
Hmm.
You think like, oh, I'm just gonna like throw them in this until they're like, because it's something to do.
Hmm.
But as early as say 5 or 6, they're gonna start saying like, this is dumb, I don't like it, and these are things I
Yeah.
do like to do. That
Yeah.
was kind of a
And if
surprise to
we
me.
stop doing that, whatever it is, we're
Mhm.
gonna we're gonna try some different things though and see what sticks.
Yeah, trying different things. You just let them throw stuff on the wall, see what sticks, and it's amazing how one of them will take to it and the other one will not. My
Yeah.
top one hated dance. My middle one loves dance. Cool. One will do dance, the other will not. That's the answer to that question.
Yep.
The best sort of standard of whether we're going to continue doing this is how hard it is to get them in the car to leave and go.
Yeah. Right.
If they're kind of rolling with you and they want to put on their shoes and they want to get in the car and they want to go, and it's like, okay, we're going to keep doing this. But if I'm like pulling them by like their legs and they're like holding on to like the railing and it's just like they don't want to do it, it's like, why are we fighting in this? Why am I paying money to be miserable? I'm not doing this
Hmm.
again. It's like, sorry, you're not going to be Serena Williams. You don't like tennis. Okay, I
Yeah.
get it.
Fine.
You know. But the boy will be a professional football player. That's in the
Right.
books. We have that notated.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna happen. Well, I know you cannot stay for a terribly long time this month, but I do appreciate you coming in.
It was this was fun.
Yes, it's a good time. I appreciate it whenever anyone can come in here. And like I said, I like to have loyal followers come in, drop in, and have a conversation for a month.
Mhm.
So thanks for that. If nothing else, I've taken from it. I should maybe try to explain a few things a little bit better. Maybe start seeing a few more definitions. You learn a few things.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, as I said, I don't come from that background at all, but I appreciate like the fact that you're doing this.
Hmm.
It's cool. And you merch is cool.
The merch is growing. The Christmas collection is coming, and I'm very excited about it. Let's just say there's a lot of ironic dad hats coming
Oh,
down
love
the
it.
pipe.
Love the dad
A lot
hats.
of ironic dad hats coming down the pipe. I'm looking forward to that. It's fun for me. It's something I get to own.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, Allie, I appreciate you coming on here. Do you have any last words you want to say for the audience?
I just no, I mean, I would say definitely stick with the Instagram. I know from personal experience how you can get people to just follow you and have interesting posts and it will work out. Instagram's awesome. I mean, it's way better than Facebook and all those other things. Even though
All
it's all
right. Well, great. Thanks for that. So on that note, I'll remind everybody this podcast drops once a month on Expiration Fridays. We also have the weekly Substack that drops every Tuesday. We have the Instagram feed, an X feed, the Etsy store, and believe it or not, I have my entire Pinterest board available as well. So we'll see everybody next week or next month. I'm sorry, we'll be November. I'm not sure who we have on for November. I think it depends on who responds back to me first. We'll see who it ends up being. But next year, the last thing I'll say is 2025. I got some new pokers in the fire. I think we're gonna have some other social media guys starting to come on more and more coming next year. That should be fun. So, all right, everybody, thank you.